This is my this is my third attempt at going live because I've tried a few times already and it's not showing up. Okay, finally it's showing up, guys. So we are 12 minutes late because Facebook did not want to show my live inside the group. I have no idea what the hell that is about, but it is what it is. Welcome to day one of 12 days to unfuck your money blocks. Okay, so for those of you that are watching the replay, just comment replay. Let me know that you did watch it. This is very important, you guys. If you are not receiving the income in your bank account that you would like to see, that you would like to experience, you have a money block. End of story. I don't care if you call it a money block. I don't care if you call it a money belief. I don't care if you call it money karma. Whatever the hell you call it, that's what it is. Okay? So today we're going to start with day one. All right. Happy holidays. I know holidays are almost over. Christmas is around the corner. Hope everyone gets what they desire. And you will. You will. Because this 12-day training is going to be amazing. So today you're going to meet your first block. Today is about the first energetic connection to the frequency of money. Okay? And this block shapes every money decision you make. It shapes every belief that you have had in the past or currently have right now about money. It shapes the way you interact with the frequency of money. Okay? So every time you make a payment, every time you ask for a raise, every time you price your products, every time you want to go shopping, every time you swipe your freaking debit card or credit card, this first block that you have shows up before all of those things. Shows up before strategy. It shows up before sales. It shows up before your offers. This is the very first block of your energetic connection to the frequency of money. It is your baseline, all right? So everyone has a baseline relationship with money. And that's okay. If you're comfortable with the money that you're making and you don't want to make any more, then that's great too. If you're comfortable with the amount that you're making, okay? That is fine too. But understanding that you currently do have a baseline relationship with your money. And this relationship is formed before you try to grow your business, before you try to make money. It's formed before you understand what money can build, can provide. It's formed before you had a language for money, okay? Before you knew what money was. So you do carry the imprint of what money means to you currently from your home environment. So that means from childhood. What you saw in your surroundings in your home. Did you eat out all the time? Were you able to have McDonald's as a kid? Or was it like a treat? Were you reprimanded or punished for eating the last of anything in your home? Simple things like, I just bought that ice cream and it's already gone. Did you hear that growing up? That's an example. Or do you currently say it? Because you carry the imprint of how your caretakers spoke about money. You carry the imprint of the emotions you saw around money, around bills, around making purchases. You carry the imprint of the energy that filled the room when money was scarce. And you do carry the imprint of the energy that filled the room when money was available. And that's all it is. It's energetic imprints that translate itself into beliefs. So these imprints from your childhood form the very first frequency connection between you and money. And money is a 3D creation. It's what we created in our current 3D as an energy exchange. You ever notice that people can't do anything for free anymore? Like if someone offers you something for free, you automatically think, what's the catch? How much is it going to cost me? We created that frequency of exchange in our current 3D. And it doesn't matter how much healing you do, how many affirmations you do, how many meditations you do, how much reprogramming you do in your mind or in your 3D. You always have a baseline imprint of that energy connection with money until we shift it collectively. But this is the reality that we live in, right? This is the reality that we are experiencing. I like to share this as a great example of when we shifted reality. So you can see that it is possible in the future to shift again. So in the olden times where there was no money, there still was a currency exchange, right? Our ancestors had cattle or crops, and we would exchange with other neighbors for other things. That was a currency exchange, right? I have the currency of cattle, you have the currency of chickens or of vegetables, whatever it was, and you would exchange. If your crops or your farm did not produce enough during harvest time, that would be your scarcity of your currency. You would go into a panic. You would carry the imprint of not enough. We don't have enough of our current currency, right? Which was animals, livestock, vegetables, right? And so these are imprints that don't necessarily start 30, 40 years ago from our parents, our great parents. These are imprints that have been carried around for generations, like I said, from before, okay, from even before the currency of money existed, okay? And so these imprints are carried in your DNA, right? Through generation and generation. And even now in this current timeline where we have currency of money. So this frequency lives in your nervous system. There is no going around it. It lives in your identity. It lives in your automatic thoughts around money. It lives in your emotional reflexes of having enough or not having enough. It lives in your decision patterns, the decisions you make around money, bills, holidays, Christmas, birthdays, self-care, necessities. It lives in every moment you try to increase your frequency of money. So you grew up around beliefs and emotional tones that created the baseline that you carry right now. Maybe money felt unsafe. Maybe money felt unpredictable. Maybe money felt stressful. Maybe money felt like conflict, pressure, something you needed to be grateful for when you had it, something you needed to earn through self-sacrifice, something only responsible people deserved, or rich people, people that were born into money deserved, something that never really stayed and never multiplied. Maybe money felt like something that arrived in little spurts and then vanished. And therefore, you learn to mirror this energy. You internalize the emotional tone. You absorb the frequency without knowing you were absorbing it. And so now you try to build a business. You try to raise your income. You try to expand your capacity. You try to access the energy of money. But the baseline of your frequency is still running the show. And so this is why a lot of entrepreneurs have that roller coaster with their income. Guys, I've had it too, okay? I've had it too. It's not something we can escape. It's part of our 3D experience. We have to master that frequency, okay? But you cannot create new income. You cannot create a healthier frequency, a more connected frequency to unlimited wealth from the current baseline that you are running around with. Because this current baseline right now that you've been carrying around, it's going to fight your expansion. It's going to fight risk because it wants to keep you safe. It's going to fight your visibility when you're like, I'm going to show up, I'm going to get more clients, I'm going to create new pathways for money to flow to me, because it's going to fight the unknown. Your baseline fights every move that breaks from what your body has already learned to trust, what is already imprinted in your DNA. Like I said, not just from your current lifetime, but from your ancestors. And also from your lifetimes before that. So your first money frequency is the default setting your entire system returns to. You can override it for a moment. That's why you have the roller coaster effect. But you cannot maintain the override without rewiring. So here are a few ways that this block can show up for you, or has shown up for you. You want more money, but your body stays in old survival patterns. You want more sales, but your identity still links money with conflicts. You want higher income, but your nervous system expects loss. You want bigger months, but your first frequency still matches scarcity, struggle, not enough. You want abundance, but your emotional memory holds the opposite tone. Because the frequency of money that you have right now, your baseline, does carry an emotional memory. The emotional memory of not having enough, but we have to hold on to what we have. We have to make it last. Be thankful and grateful for what you have. And so this might make you feel like you're sabotaging your goals. If you've sabotaged your goals in the past, let me know in the comments, because we've all done that. We all know what we want to do, especially when you're creating new programs, content, outreach. You might feel like you fall back into older patterns, right? Especially like your money patterns, your belief patterns, your sabotaging patterns. You might feel like you improve your energetic frequency with money, like you have a good relationship with money for a few weeks and then it freezes, and then you don't see new money flowing in for a while. You feel like you set a goal and then you shrink your actions, right? And guys, this is something that's constant, okay? At every level of your income frequency, or your income frequency connection, or your money frequency connection, there are going to be moments where you see the improvement, you feel the improvement, and then it freezes. So I had one earlier today, about 30 minutes before going live. I had that moment where I froze. I was laying down on this particular couch, and I was like feeling like the stress of, oh, today's day 1 of 12 days. Yesterday I went to get my shoulder rehabbed. And so if we've ever had to do rehab of any kind, like the second day and the third day is when you feel a lot of the pain from the rehab, right? Because it's stretching your muscles. And I almost use that as an excuse to reschedule the live. Because the pain in my shoulder, I didn't sleep well last night. I'm tired. I am tired. I'm doing this live for you guys tired. I am like, as soon as I finish this live, I'm going back to bed. It's 9:30 in the morning. And I'm going to go back to bed. But I was right there. My body wants to go back into the older patterns. This is something that you're consistently fighting with. Why? Because you are in a 3D timeline. So stop falling for the BS of 5D, 6D, 7D, because it's a constant friction. Once you're able to bring awareness to what is it that I'm feeling, why is this happening to me right now, then you'll be able to not fall into those old patterns. So I was like, okay, I'm only going to do the live for a little bit. I already made a commitment. Why am I going to go back on my word? This is a great training. People are depending on me, waiting, for the live. And so my mind started going into, well, what if nobody shows up? What if I have problems with, the video? And I did have problems for the first 12 minutes of this video. I couldn't see the live video anywhere. And I continued. And I didn't fall back into the old patterns. And so now my body knows, my survival patterns are shifting. You're like, hey, no, when you feel this way, when you feel that friction, you're going to still keep going, right? So I'm training my nervous system to keep going. This is an everyday thing, you guys, okay? It's an everyday thing, because you're not going to heal 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years of these types of trauma, and even more trauma from past lives or from your DNA, from your ancestors. You're not going to heal that in 5 minutes, in a week, in a month. Because you're retraining your whole entire system. You're training your nervous system. You're training your mind. You're reprogramming your mind, right? And your body has to now get used to these new actions, these new emotions, these new contractions and expansions. Because that's what it is new contractions and new expansion. Okay? And that's why if you set a goal and then you shrink your actions, like what almost happened to me today, you're going to feel that block with your success. You're going to feel that block with what you're trying to manifest in your 3D. And if you're trying to manifest money, then that's why it might feel that the money slows down. It's not failure. It is your first money frequency trying to protect you. All right? So when something new enters your life, new experience, new opportunity, your system asks one question, always. Is this safe? It's not logical safety, it's not emotional safety, it's not identity safety, energetic safety. Money that matches your baseline feels safe. Money that exceeds it will always feel threatening. Your system knows how to live with your old frequency, your old mindset, and your old behavior patterns. Right? Which is what I said I struggled with this morning. Your system does not know how to live with expansion yet. And every time you're changing your 3D, you're going to feel that expansion. This is why you plateau. This is why you earn the same amount of money every month, and this is why you experience the roller coaster effect with your income. Okay? It's not that your system is broken, it's that your system is going to be loyal to the first money frequency it learned. So now we shifted. You're like, okay, Millie, this has happened to me. Let me know in the comments if this has happened to you. This has happened to me. I wanted new clients. Someone booked a call, and then I had to reschedule. Someone booked a call, and I was not prepared for it. Someone booked a call. It was a great call, and they asked me how much, or I didn't ask, for a payment on the phone when I had them on the phone with me. Whatever that looks like to you, it's always different for everybody else. Let me know in the comments if that's happened to you. Because to shift this, you have to examine the original emotional tone you grew up with. Name it. Hold awareness around it. And then you separate from it. Awareness creates the gap. The gap creates a choice. The choice creates expansion. So, you're probably thinking, okay, how do I identify it? What can the identifying part look like? The tone. The tone could be fear, stress, tightness, pressure, chaos, absence, guilt, shame, resentment, uncertainty, regret. It could be any tone, but identify the tone. Because every one of these tones that I gave you as an example holds its own frequency. And then subsequently creates its own block. So then you observe how this tone lives in your body and lives in your life today, because the tone will live in your body first. That is how you get that contraction. That is how you experience those emotions, those feelings. And then that tone lives outside of your body. It lives outside of your frequency because it manifests as blocks, okay? So it can manifest in your business, in selling, receiving, when you try to reach your prices, when you consider scaling, when you're just thinking of bigger months. And then subsequently shows up when you move towards more wealth. So you're not judging the tone, you're identifying the earliest roots, the roots that shape the baseline. And you cannot shift what you cannot see, right? What you cannot identify. So after you identify the tone, you examine the identity it produced. So identity follows emotional memory, shapes how you view yourself with money, decides what you believe is available. Identity sets the limits of your receiving. Identity sets the limits of your earning. Identity sets the limits of your capacity, who you are. So look at the identity that you've been carrying around with you, the identity you formed from that specific tone that you absorbed. For example, if the tone was scarcity, you built an identity that expects it. If your tone was chaos, you built an identity that normalizes chaos with money. My tone growing up was that the men in the family, the husband, made the money, and the women stayed at home taking care of the house and the kids. The women didn't go to work. The women depended on the man. And so that was my identity for many, many years. And that has been something that I am now clearing, or I have been clearing consciously for 9 years, consciously. But I'm clearing that from my DNA timeline, right? My mother, her mother, her mother, and the mother before that, and the past lives before that. So if your tone was stress, guilt, lack, unpredictability, fear, you will have already built an identity connected to that tone. So the identity is the lens that you currently use today. It controls your decisions, it controls your behavior, and it controls your income ceiling. So I want you guys to tell me in the comments for day 1 what you've noticed your tone. Scarcity, chaos, stress, guilt, lack, unpredictability, fear, regret, shame. What has been your tone? And how has your identity built itself around this tone? All right, guys. Day 1 is the foundation. I'm excited I was able to share this with you. Remember, we cannot reach a higher income without shifting the original imprint. All right. How can you enter the prizes that we are giving away during the next 12 days? You can enter by showing up live. Showing up live, you get 5 points. Okay. And then commenting your aha moments gets you 2 points. And so at the end of the 12 days, we will announce the winners. And as the challenge continues, I will continue to announce the giveaways. All right, guys, stop responding to money from the version of you who learned all these low vibrational frequencies, and I'll see you for day 2 tomorrow.